Welcome back to the monster update video. Today we will talk about everything and every stock. We will talk today about AMC, GME, BYND, DJT, NIO, Open, HKD, FFAI, GNS, Microvision, RIOT, Bed Bath & Beyond, Unity, FCEL and C3.AI. If you're interested, just stay tuned. As always, I'm using the fractal method. Explanation video I will put at the end of the video. Okay, well, then let's start with AMC. So, as I said, today, the full story. So, first of all, I'm tracking 2021 for our next move. Why? Just because this was the ending of our first fractal. We only see the ending of this fractal. That means I'm comparing especially this version with this move and kinda this version with this move. The next thing which should happen is 2021. This should happen. That's also the reason why I'm not tracking the next move as a one-part squeeze. And I could be completely wrong about this. Absolutely. But it's just my idea. The only way, in my opinion, we're getting a trackable one-part squeeze would be if we do something similar to 2024 May or 2025 May. And that wouldn't be good. Because in that case, we won't break over the high of 2024. We won't even maybe go over $6 in that case. That would also mean, for me personally, that would also mean after that we're making way new lows. And in that case, there's no way around the reverse split again. Just my opinion. I would like to be wrong. Yeah? If we're just doing a one-part squeeze and going up to whatever number, fine. Everyone is happy. Yeah? For my tracking, two-part squeeze. How would the two-part squeeze look like? The same like 2021. Yeah. In that case, you saw in 2021 this wonderful trend line, which was resistance. The same trend line, in my opinion, we have here. The only difference is Ape and this mega dilution we got because of Ape. Yeah. Without Ape, you could even take this price action here and put it up here and just delete this knife. That's also the reason why I think there are only two ways. AMC is delisting, or this chart has to fix itself. This thing has to be gone. And the only thing that can happen is a massive squeeze, or it's delisting. So back to the two-part squeeze. So in 2021 we had this trend line. We have the same trend line now. We made our V in January 2021, and then we broke out to our A. And if you look back, first of all, it's a perfect breakout retest. And it's not only that, it's also a perfect 618 pullback, a fib, from our low to our peak. So if we're doing the same thing now or in a few weeks, a few months, we will look at that in a second, you can even measure how high AMC should go if we're doing the same thing. In that case, you're taking from your low, our low now, take a fib and you look, I mean, it depends when we squeeze, yeah, but you can get the idea that the next top for our future A should be something around 100 and 150. Why? Because you break out of this trend line, you make a pullback, you're not breaking under this trend again, and you're bouncing on the 6.8 fib. So if we do that in May-ish and we instantly getting a pullback, 150 to 100 is my target. After that, an instant knife back down to $6. That's also the reason why I personally would never tell people it's 100% a one-part squeeze. Because you will always have fans or people who really believe in you, who will then, if it just gap up, say, okay, my favorite predictor was saying we're getting a one-part squeeze, and the one-part squeeze should go over all-time highs. So these people won't sell here, and they will get fucked again. That's why. Yeah, I can't tell you when you have to sell. I even don't want to tell you that. I just want to give you the idea. If you're doing that, I wouldn't wait for it. You can always leave runners. It's absolutely your decision. But if we open here, or let's say even if we open at 42 at the gap fill here, you really want to be a backholder again? I can be wrong. Absolutely. But the main point is, if we're getting a one-part squeeze, we open here, everyone is happy, fine, end of story. If we're doing a two-part squeeze, what happens after we get this peak here? And that's why I want to warn you. Because if you're doing the same thing like 2021, I don't know if we really completely gap up or if this may be taking 2 days, 3 days, a week. Yeah? Because you have to remember, we are way slower than back then. So when this took you 2 days, this maybe take you 1 week. Could be. Problem is still, it's a pretty sharp gap up. And it's a pretty sharp gap down or pullback or whatever you call it. In that case, however we get this peak, the pullback will be quick, maybe even in the same week. Problem with this is, you pull back then. Pull back to 6, 5, 7, 8-ish, back to this trend line. And then you start, if I'm right, and then you start with this uptrend. Back then, this uptrend took from the peak to the next squeeze 113 days. So the thing I want to say, if we compare these two versions to each other, then the first version, tail risk growth, was 314 days. If we compare this to where we are now, that's 725 days. So nearly double. So if we also double this pullback to the second part squeeze, this can easily take 200 days. And that's why I'm also the opinion that if we're doing a two-part squeeze and if we really are doing the same thing again, which fractals do, this here could easily take till 2027. And that's why I'm saying, I mean, for shares, it's not that bad, but still, you really want to miss this profit? Because if you're doing the same, you could take profit, wait for a full year, half a year, and play it again. With contracts, you're fucked. Or you have 2028, okay? But then the same problem like with shares. That's why I'm saying everyone who is telling you it's 100% a two-part squeeze, one-part squeeze, I don't like these people. Yeah, because maybe we are doing it, but most likely they will be the reason why people get into real troubles. So now we have the idea of the first part peak, how long it could take to the second part. For price levels, yeah, we got our first price level for the first part. The second part in my opinion, will reach this trend line again. The same like 2021, the same like IPO. So in that case, you could easily go to really $1,000 or something like that. Depends how long it takes. If we see $1,000 then and not getting a forward split till then, I don't know, but the first thing we should do is the first part. Then we can track the second one. One last thing before we go into micro tracking, because I for sure know I will get comments, I'm dreaming, I'm an idiot, can't never happen. The only answer I give to them, yeah, the same thing was said in 2021 in the first part. The same was what people said in the second part of the squeeze. It can't never happen. And the same was said in May 2024. Yeah, is my only answer. Okay, now to the micro tracking. So nothing really changed since the last updates videos for AMC, except it's starting looking better. So first of all, we start with the only bearish version I have left, and that only means we reject here or we reject here massively, and one of these 2 points are becoming our T. In that case, we knife down, we break our low, and hopefully we really knife down and not slowly grinding down. And our next targets would be 90 or 86. That's the only bearish alternative right now, which I have. The bullish alternative is looking better and better. For all of my watchers who are watching me already a few weeks, a few months, I always said I want for the bottom for AMC a sharp knife down, no double bottom, and a sharp V. So let's look. First of all, we had a kind of sharp knife down. Okay, but we had that already several times. Yeah, here, here, here. Then we have no double bottom on at least the 30-minute. Check, no double bottom. And then I wanted a sharp V. Kind of. Yeah, not something which I would say absolutely perfect, but kind of. So also check. So now we go to the side by side. So left side, 30-minute chart today. Right side, 1 hour chart, 2021 January. And that's the thing which even and you know me, I'm more the bearish guy, even I get a little bit, how do you say that, interested already. Yeah? Because I was showing this already in the last videos, where this section here would be this section here. And right now, to make that absolutely clear, we are not here. Yeah? We would right now doing this candle here. Only this candle. Yeah? This candle would be this candle. Yeah? Of course, yeah, but why in 2021 this was quick? Yeah, yeah. But the reason for this is just like just easy explained, fractal getting bigger and slower, and that's why you also have here an A, and B, and a C. On the 1 second chart or even on the 5-minute chart, you will see that. Yeah? Now, because we are getting bigger, we see that already on the 30-minute chart. Yeah? But the idea behind this all is we only look where was the peak of this candle. And this peak was under the previous peak. So if this idea is right and we are not knifing during the bearish part, we won't go for the peak of this candle under our previous peak. That means under 125. So somewhere in 2023, 123, 124-ish. In the best case, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, I mean the push was pretty perfect on Thursday. So maybe we're doing this Monday, or this is already the B peak. Yeah. No, I think we still go a little bit up because, as I always say, B is over M. So we still have to go a little bit up. Then we're doing a 0.5 pullback. And then we're doing our C. What comes after the C? Well, after the C, we have to go V under A or 786. So in that case, yeah, V under A. So in that case, if we're getting this little peak here, we pull back to under 98 cents. So 97, 96-ish, something like that. Pull back. After we did that, we're doing our A run. Yeah. In that case, we would run, I would expect, if we're doing this the whole next week, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to the peak, Thursday, Friday pullback. Yeah. In my opinion, we're doing this the second week of April, the third week of April, the fourth week of April, something like that. No financial advice. Depends on volume. Yeah. If you get a lot of volume, we could be quicker. If you get less volume, it will take longer. The peak of this A. This peak, in my opinion, will be the rejection of the 200 EMA, wherever it is done. We will hit our head there and we will reject. Back then, in 2021, that was a 0.5 pullback. So it's an A. It could also do a 618 pullback. So when we get this peak and we reject, then we will pull back 0.5, 0.618, and this here will be the last pullback before we're getting the big moves. Just one little warning. I'm always saying, for me personally, there is no chance we squeeze from the V. Yeah, it doesn't matter which stock. I always want a higher low and squeeze, or an A and a squeeze, or an A plus a higher low and a squeeze. So if we're doing the same thing like 2021, we're doing higher low now, we're doing A, and then we go. But because we are never doing it one-to-one, if this is not stopping, yeah, let's say we're going over 125-ish, yeah, so let's say 130, then I think we won't do the higher low, yeah, but I would still say we're doing the A and the pullback. It would be just quicker because we're not doing the higher low. The same thing I would say if we're just doing the higher low. If we pull back, the same thing I'm said, I would never say people be doing a 100% two-part squeeze, 100% one-part squeeze, because that's dangerous. That's why I'm saying, if we're doing this higher low and we are bouncing here next week, I won't say we are doing 100% an A, because there is a possibility that after this higher low, we just go. Just say, yeah. Normally I would say, wait for this point, but I don't want to be the person who told you, no, we're doing this pullback and we're already running. Yeah. So no financial advice. If we're really doing this one by one and we're bouncing here, even I would get at least a tiny position. Yeah, but for tracking one-to-one, as I said, we go to 124-ish, pull back to the 90s, go up to 200, make a pullback. I'm still the opinion we won't see anything big in April. My target would be earliest May. Yeah, okay. So much for AMC. Next one is GME. So again, full story this time. For GME, our V was April 2020 already. We made a nice high low, squoze up in a one-part squeeze to our A. Why is this A? This whole thing, in my opinion, is A. Especially if you take from the low to the peak, we nearly perfectly bounced on the 0.5. Then back then in 2024, we also made a little higher low and made a one-part squeeze to the top. This whole thing, in my opinion, is just the higher low of A. And we only have to track when this higher low is finished. After that, we will do a one-part squeeze to our B. Before we go into micro tracking, if you look back, the squeeze of 2021, one-part squeeze to the top, instant pullback. In that case, that was even also nearly a 0.5 pullback. And then GME is also doing a two-part squeeze, but the second part is doing a lower high. The same was in 2024. V, one-part squeeze to the top, also here, a beautiful, this was deeper, this was under the 618 pullback, but who cares? And then second part again, a lower high. So what I imagine is we're doing again a one-part squeeze to the top to our B. Then we instantly pull back again. Maybe we're doing a 0.5 this time or a 618 again. And then also GME doing a two-part squeeze. Again, a lower high. So how high would this go? You won't hear from me 5,000, 10,000, 1 million, because I can only track what I see. And I take the trend line from the IPO. We broke over this trend line in 2008, but our squeeze target was perfectly on this trend line. So in my opinion, this time, this trend line will also be the peak. We maybe can go a little bit over it, or I'm completely wrong. Yeah? But for me, the target would be 380, maximum 500-ish for B. Also, the pullback, like AMC, will be quite instant. The pullback of the lower high will take, in my opinion, 5 to 10 years. The first one from A took you 5 years. Was, yeah, 4 years, sorry. And the pullback of the higher low took you 2 years, yeah, or a little bit more than 2 years. So we're getting bigger and slower. The same what I said on AMC. So if the first pullback of A took you 4 years, I could easily say that this pullback maybe take you 8 years. Yeah. So if some are still interested in the run to see, this will take some time. And then it's the question, are we breaking because it's at C, this trend line? If not, again, next target would be then 700. And to say that in 8 years, a lot of things can happen. Yeah, forward splits or whatever. Yeah, so who is interested in that? First of all, we have to do our B. Okay, well, then let's go into micro tracking. So for GME, I also have a bullish and a bearish alternative for the short future. We start with the bearish alternative, and the bearish alternative is still my main version, kinda. Yeah, I'm still tending to it. That means that this last peak was our little T, and we still have to at least drop to $17. Yeah, even if GME AMC goes up. Yeah, just saying that only because AMC goes up doesn't mean that GME has to go up either, or the other way around. They are only synchronized in the squeeze play, because otherwise they would look the same. Yeah, so it's no problem if GME knives now, but AMC goes up. The news will just say, I don't know, baskets theory, for example. Yeah, because AMC goes up, GME has to drop, or some bullshit like that. Yeah. So for this version, you have to go to 17, yeah, or even lower. The main point is you have to go under this level, under August 2024. 17 is a good target. In the worst case, I could even see 15, yeah, but doesn't matter. It has to be a knife. After that, you may be doing a micro high low, go up to your A. Your A has to be over T, over the big T. That means it has to go over 28.35-ish dollars, making a 0.5, 0.618 pullback. At the same time, AMC is also doing its pullback here, both are ready to squeeze. And if you now tell me that's not possible, that never happened, we only have to look back. First of all, before the 2024 May run would be this landmark. We also got a knife. And because I'm saying we are not tracking May, we can also look at 2021. Because here, in not 2020, 2020, because here would be the same landmark. We knifed down through all levels. So we are still missing this landmark. I'm not saying we have to do it one-to-one, but this landmark is pretty significant and is always happening before we squeeze. Yeah? The only thing I could say we don't have to do it is if we say that this here was already the landmark. Could be. I would be fine with that. In that case, we're doing the bullish alternative, which I will show in a second. For levels, if we go over $23.48, that would be kind of bullish already. If we break $25 to the upside, you can say haha in the comments, and we are not getting this in my opinion. Yeah, if we're getting over 25, my bearish alternative is that. Okay, now to the bullish alternative. And as I said, in that case, you already got this big drop. Yeah? In that case, you have here your bottom on November 2025. You already did your little micro high low. You already broke out of the trend. This would be your A. We did a kinda 0.618 pullback. We made a breakout retest. And in that case, you have to go up from here. Yeah. This would be your little A. If we do a little B or just jumping it, we will see. Would depend on how quick AMC is. And you still would go up to your A, which is your little C for this little A, little B. Same level is still the same. Your A has to be over the 28 to 35-ish. And you still have to do this pullback. And then both go. Only important thing about this is you really should start doing something in the next week, 2 weeks. My main problem is if we start staying in this range, let's say full April, something is getting fishy and wrong. Yeah, because it doesn't matter if we go down, a knife down, or go up, we still have to do this landmark. If we're still going sideways till May, I would say we won't get anything till November or even 2027. Yeah, because then something is not working. And then AMC gets into trouble, and then. So I really want to see something. Did this sideways bullshit? No. The only thing I could imagine, same for AMC, the normal explanation, except fractal, is something is extremely building up pressure for a pretty strong move. Yeah. So let's see. Looks good. It just has to do something. Okay. Next one is BYND. So for BYND, we also have two main versions, the bullish and the bearish one. We start with the bearish one, or we start with the tracking, with the whole explanation. For BYND started its IPO already in the run to its top, to its C. Then it made a perfect lower high. To say this lower high, back in 2021, BYND already did its lower high at the same time AMC and GME Is close. The thing is, if we're not tracking AMC and GME for this spring, this summer, it's, in my opinion, is not possible. Yeah, that BYND is squeezing before AMC and GME already. Why? Because we would have to do all this till May, June. Yeah, that would mean we really have next week. We have to start doing this shit whole April, making lower high when AMC and GME is squeezing in May, June, and then start the pull. That's so much price action. For me, there's nearly zero chance doing that. So I think this was just a coincidence. Yeah, that BYND made its move, its lower high with AMC and GME. That doesn't mean it can't go with AMC and GME, but I think when AMC and GME really doing now the bullish tracking for April, May, June, BYND will do its A. Yeah, but I wouldn't synchronize BYND with AMC and GME. Yeah, in my opinion, they will just do their own thing. Or in May, it just do this. I mean, who would be sad about this? Okay, then we made our lower high, midpoint. In the bearish tracking, and this is the bearish tracking, October was our T. Yeah. In that case, just a little warning, in that case, we will make a new low, wherever it is. 30, 20, 10 cents-ish, doesn't matter. Yeah? We will go in the micro tracking closer into it. For the macro tracking, you making a new low. The shitty part about this would be, it's not only the price, it's the problem that wherever our V is, that would be our bottom, but then we have to do the macro higher low. The macro higher low for the whole fractal. This macro higher low won't go over this trend line here. That means maximum $4, and then it will come back again doing a higher low, and then it would go up. In that case, I could even promise you, you won't see the big moves in 2026. Maybe not even seeing it in 2027. This can take time, a lot of time. That would be the bearish tracking. Bullish tracking, as always, October 2025 was our higher low. and we just have to finish that. Also, we will look at that in a second. When we finish this higher low, we go up to our A still. And the A still has to be over 15, I would say 15 to 25. Then break a retest of this trend line, going up to its B. The B has to be over $44 because over M, 0.5 pullback, then breaking all-time highs or not. Also here to say, we never saw A or B in the original fractal because IPO was later. We only saw the last part of C. So I can't completely say that something like that is impossible because we never saw it. And when we compare all the main letters, they were always pretty vertical. It was always a higher low and AB you don't see, never see here. V higher low, pretty steep. V higher low, pretty steep. V mini higher low and instant run. Yeah, so it is possible. I wouldn't bet on it, but it is possible. Okay, well, then let's go into micro tracking. So also here, we start with the bearish alternative. In that case, this jump on earnings, and sadly, it was a bad earnings. I mean, I said, careful if you're running massively into earnings. That normally is a sign for a knife on earnings, and sadly, it was right. For the bearish checking, this was just mini T. In that case, you will knife. And especially, you will knife through the 50 cent, through your all-time low. And it will do the same thing like DJT did, like FFAI did. I will show that today too, but we track this as higher low. And I already said, if we're breaking this low, this higher low will become a T, and especially it will become a head and shoulders. In that case, you're taking from your peak to your break line, a trend line, put it where you break, and that would be kinda your price target. In that case, your price target would be something around 40, maybe 35 cents-ish. And again, then you would start to do little higher low and then the big higher low, which take ages. Yeah. And also to say that they already have the vote, I think, for a reverse split. We're coming into a place where they might then reverse split. So I'm not tending to this at all, but we have to have this alternative. Now to the bullish thesis. So for the bullish thesis, not very much is changing. We just have two possibilities. First of all, this here, our head and shoulders still stay T. And the earnings also still is a little T. The only difference is two ways. First of all, at the same day in the earnings, this could be already our V. Yeah, so the 58 cents could already be our V, especially if you look where we bounced. Because if you look at this trend line from our M with the most touch points, it was resistance. Here in February 2026, it was support. And right now it would have been also support. I mean, it's only a trend line. Yeah, but maybe. In that case, you made your V here. You already did your higher low, because if you're clearly looking here, it's a higher low. In that case, you may be doing another one, but the direction should be up. That would be the first bullish way before we're coming to levels. The alternative is that we are not finished with this T yet. That means this would be your tiny, tiny, tiny M. You maybe would come up, but you would do your T and you would still fall lower. Important thing here is, again, you're not touching or breaking 50 cents. As long as you're not doing that, you fall lower, make a higher low, and then we go. Yeah. Where we would bounce in that case, I don't know, because we don't have anything here. The only important thing is not touching 50 cents. For levels, whatever we are doing, bullish version 1, bullish version 2, important is, first thing we have to break is 72. That would be bullish. Breaking 80 cents would be very bullish. Breaking $1.05, and I think we can clearly say that the absolute bearish alternative is off the table. Yeah, that is what I have for Björn. Next one is DJT. So for DJT, also full story. IPO von DJT was the start of the V and going into its higher low. After that, we just instant ran to our C. We didn't saw A, we didn't saw B, we just did C. After that, we did a massive lower high, a massive M, and a massive T. So we have one bullish, one bearish alternative. The bearish alternative is pretty easy. We break down, we break or touch 8.31 cents and make a new low. Yeah. In that case, still we should be close because we only have to look for the V because this is clearly T, and then we should do a higher low and then we start the run. That would be the bearish alternative. The bullish alternative is we already found now our V. We still have to do a micro higher low, and they're talking about this little higher low, which would be the higher low just for the T. Yeah, we will look at that in micro in a second. After this little higher low, we have two possibilities. First, we're doing the small macro higher low, and I'm talking this macro higher low would be the macro higher low for the whole thing, or we're doing the big macro higher low, which is also the macro higher low for the whole thing. How would these two macro higher lows look like? We have two main trend lines. The first one is CM, the normal macro higher low. The second one is only M and T. The thing is, normally you're only tracking CM trend line. In that case, you're doing the big macro higher low, which won't go over $30-ish. But I added the rule because there are many cases where your T is too small, too short to reach the main trend line. In that case, it happens quite often that when you put a new trend line, which is only connecting your M and your T, this is your resistance line for your macro higher low. In that case, we're doing the small higher low, which isn't allowed to go over $20-ish. After, doesn't matter which higher low we are doing the big moves. For levels wise, in that case, your next A has to be over 57. Your next B has to be over 80 because A is over T, B is over M. And then the only question is, are you breaking all-time highs or not? One thing here, because if you look at the main letters, T, M, L, even the small t, and especially the IPO. Also here, I can't rule out, especially because this is fractal 1. Doesn't matter if you're taking bearish route or bullish route, this fractal is ending. Yeah. If we're really doing a new fractal and we are repeating the IPO, I can't say that something like that is impossible. Doesn't matter what news it is. Yeah. So we have to see. Now for the micro tracking. So here, before we go into micro tracking, here perfect example for the bearish alternative for BYND. Yeah, just saying. We tracked this in the past also as higher low. And I also said back then, if you're breaking this trend line, the higher low is dead. And second, this becomes a perfect head and shoulders. Yeah. For DJT, that only meant if you're taking a line from your peak to the break line and put it at your fall line, that was a pretty good measurement. Yeah. I didn't play puts because if you're talking about it, you're just forgetting to play it, but this was a perfect play. We went a little bit lower, but still perfect play. But right now, this looks pretty good. This looks pretty good that this here on March in 2026 was our V. As always, as DJT really always is doing, we did a micro higher low. After this micro higher low, we did a smaller higher low. And then we broke, we could even take a trend line here. Yeah, perfect. We broke out. We made our little A. If you look from your bottom to your peak, it is between the 0.5 and the 0.618. And we bounced. So there's still the possibility that we just knife. Yeah, never ruled it out. In that case, if you touch a break 80-30, of course, you will go lower. I would still say this is not 100% confirmation yet, but it looks very good that we just start our run to our B now, and especially to our C. Again, this would be just a small higher low. Yeah, the small higher low to the small higher low to this T. Yeah. In that case, if we are doing that, this small higher low won't break this trend line. In that case, we won't go over $12-ish. I would still expect we're doing this maybe mid-April, end of April, pullback, and then we're starting one of the two big macro higher lows. Also saying, because normally you saw that perfectly here. Yeah, this would be, it is nearly the same shit here. Yeah, that this higher low could also be just instant. Yeah, you're going from here to your C, and then slowly grinding down again. Yeah, because the upward moves for DJT are quite always pretty instant. So possible. Wouldn't bet on it, but possible. Also, one before we go to the levels, the pullback target we already have. If we're really doing this higher low right now, we already know if we reject here, where to go. In that case, you have to go V under A. In that case, this pullback will go at least 1 cent under 878 here, and then bounce and start the big one. Just one thing because of levels. Because there's also the possibility we are not stopping here. Yeah, because technically we already did a little higher low. So if you start breaking through here, confirmation in my opinion is if you go over 15, then you won't go down here anymore. Then next resistance line is 25. If you break over 25, your confirmation would be $30, because then you're clearly not doing the small higher low. If you then even go more up and you break over this trend line, and especially if you're going over $57, I tell you already in squeeze play, and there is no entry anymore. because then you just go vertical up. Just saying. That's why no financial advice. If you want to play it, you buy at least, no APRs, at least tunes, at least contracts. Shares, doesn't matter. And you are waiting here and wait for the rejection. Or take some profit here, and leave some runners. Then your next level is 24. Same play. If you reject, take profit. If not, leave runners. If you break over here, forget it. You're in squeeze play. Otherwise, you're waiting for the pullback. Would be the safer play. Of course, there's always a risk to miss it, but it is the safer play. Okay, that's for DJT. Next one is NIO. And for NIO, I have really to say, NIO and what was the other one? NIO and RIOT. These two are for me personally the not perfect, but the most easiest and most clearest fractals I even have. And the two ones which I also have the most confidence in. You will see why. Just because. For the macro tracking, the big overview, the pullback from IPO was pretty easy, just a higher low. You have to think all this price action here because it never existed because of IPO. From the all-time low, October 2019 till April 2025, this was just our macro A. Just easy because we didn't went under the 786 and we bounced here. So this is easily A. And right now we are in the way to our macro B. This macro B, the peak of the macro B has to be over all-time high because it has to be over the peak of A. If it's now only 76 or something stupid like 200, we have to see, but it has to go over all-time high. Now for macro tracking, we just look that the A pullback, in my opinion, is finished. I will in a second show that side by side. We did our V. We did our higher low, the higher low of this A. We broke out of the multi-year trend and we went over T. That means this is A. The A pullback, in my opinion, is also already finished because you're taking from your V to your peak, the fib. We bounced perfectly on the 618. We did, after that, a small higher low for our A. And again, broke out of this trend line, went over T. This is our small A. Also, the small A, in my opinion, is also finished. We bounced near the 0.5. And I mean, in my last videos, I said I could easily see a pullback a little bit lower to the 0.618. With this push over this top, I don't think we will get these levels anymore. In my opinion, we will now go up to where? At least to our middle B. And this middle B has to be again over our M. That means over $16. Then maybe a 0.5 pullback, and then we already go to our C, which is over new all-time highs. So this would be just tracking with the fractal method. Now to the tracking with side by side. So left side, 24 hours from today. Right side, 24 hours from October 2019. And that's why I said it's perfect NIO. Just because you could even track NIO without my method. You just have to compare it side by side. So easy it is, in my opinion, because you have the same M from IPO. You fell down, make a lower peak. You fell down, come up. You even have here the same formation as here. Here again, IPO was the first time. Right now, we are slower and bigger. Yeah. But still, you see still the same landmarks. Same formation here, same formation here. You're doing your T, and then you fall down to your knife, to your bottom. Same here. You have the same fucking peaks. It's 1-to-1. For NIO, I really have to say, it's fucking 1-to-1. Yeah. Then you did your higher low. We are doing our higher low. You broke out of the trend. We broke out of the trend. You went over T. We went over T just slightly, but still working. Then we did a head and shoulders. And we knifed. Just saying also, NIO was one of the first stocks on my channel, and I said here, we will fucking knife. And you don't want to know how many death threats I became for that. Yeah. Most of the time out of the Asian community, I don't know why. But if you say the stock is falling, that's very bad. But okay. So back then we did a perfect 618 pullback. The same what we did today. Back then we also made a higher low. Also we made here higher low, and also here we broke out, same as here. So in that case, I would say if we continue this really 1-to-1 bullshit, not bullshit, but great tracking we are doing right now, this here would be this here. Yeah. In that case, we are right now, in my opinion, if you're really doing it 1-to-1, in this candle here. Yeah, this would be this candle here. Absolute confirmation would be a small gap up. Next price action would be this. Yeah, if we're really doing this the same, this maybe could take whole April. Depends how quick we are doing, but there shouldn't be a massive pullback anymore. The main thing, if this is really right, this is the rest of the year, depends on the speed, maybe till next year, summer-ish or something like that. And this is just the run to all-time highs or over all-time highs. Yeah, because here's your M. Yeah, so whenever we're doing this sideways shit, we go really vertical. Yeah, pretty steep, very quick to 16, and this is even going a little bit over 16, so that's why I have it for $21. Then you will get a small pullback here, and then you run up even more over your C. That's over all-time highs. Could be wrong, but that would be my tracking. But NIO looks absolutely fucking perfect. And sadly, and you know I hate that, I have no bearish alternative in NIO. Yeah, I hate that, but I just don't have one now. Let's see. Next one is open. Open is also pretty simple, and also for open, sadly, I don't really have a bearish alternative which is working right now. I just don't have one. For the bullish alternative, for the bullish way, we topped at IPO, perfect low high, perfect M, perfect T. Then we fell down to our V. We broke out of the trend line. We made a perfect 0.5 pullback. We ran up to our B, which is also, you see that clearly, beautiful T, beautiful M. And then we also did a 0.5 pullback. I have to say here, for my original tracking, this pullback took way too long. Yeah, I expecting something short like here, but open said no. For the only bearish alternative I have for this, which isn't working with my rules, would be that this is our T and we break down from here. Yeah, but I tried to get it to work. The only way I could put this, yeah, would make this way bigger. In that case, this would be T. But then we have to fall under all-time low. It's just not working. Yeah, and you know me, if you watch me longer, I hate it when I don't have an alternative. Yeah, because I just hate it. For the bullish way, this here in February was our V. And in that case, we already did our higher low, the higher low of this B. And you should start going up from here. Pretty simple. That's it. Yeah. For confirmation levels, before we go to the big levels, anything over 546 would be bullish. Everything over 571 would be very bullish, and everything over $8, and there is no thinking about any bearish alternative anymore. To the levels to the upside. First of all, this is the last run. We are going now to our C, wherever it is. I can't give you any levels for this. First, we're breaking all-time highs, go to wherever we want. Second, it has to be over B, so it has to be over $11. I would say, no financial advice, if you play it, take profits somewhere in this area. You can leave runners, but take profits, something between $11 and $38. Or, which would be the safer play, you completely let this run out. You wait for the peak. You wait for the lower high. And then you fucking short it. Because whatever we are doing, we can only do 3 ways. First, let's say, for example, let's say we're going to $30. Just an example. This will be our peak. We have 3 pullback targets. First one, we're doing a 0.5 pullback. In that case, you will knife to $4. If this would be a macro B. Second, we knife down to $2.50 if this would be an A. Or this is a C and you knife down to $1.30. That's why if you want to really play it safely, wait for the peak and then short it. Yeah? Or you play the upside. Yeah? For the upside, you really have to start going up from here. Yeah? One last thing, even if I don't have an alternative, yeah, touching or breaking $4.27 is bearish. Yeah, if we do that, I will try to find a bearish alternative, but whatever it will be, breaking down here is bearish. Okay. Next one, HKT. And before we start, yeah, just one thing. I have shares, just a tiny $200 shares I have. this is more fun tracking. First of all, because someone asked it that I should track it. Second of all, because it's doing stupid things. Yeah. That's the only reason why. It's just a fun play. Yeah. I'm absolutely aware that this thing could just die and it's over. Yeah. Just saying. And it would be just gone or just doing nothing. Yeah, maybe a little squeeze to $2 or something and just do nothing and die. Just saying. Yeah. For the bullish tracking, it still looks interesting. Yeah, because you start your IPO, got your massive squeeze to your top, then massive lower high, massive midpoint, and this run here in November 2025 was our T, and this run here in March 2026 could be our higher low. Yeah. Before we go into micro tracking, your next A would be over 6, your next B would be over 53, and your next C would be who knows. And if we doing the same shit like this is doing always, you maybe don't even see A or B, and whenever you're finished, you just see something like that. And if you now tell me I'm stupid, yes, this stock, I would absolutely agree, but I would also tell you, yeah, but I mean, we did this already now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And landmarks wise, I would say, whatever this thing is doing, yeah, you have two ways. You die, or this fractal is finished now and you start again a big move. Yeah. And if you just measure from last time, yeah, this was 16,000%. If we add now 16,000% here, 200. Yeah. So, no financial advice. I would not put anything serious in this stock. Yeah. What you could do, maybe the same thing I did. Only shares. I don't even know if there are options. I don't think there are options on this. But let's say you throw $50 at it. Yeah, that is what, 20, 30 shares. If you're really going, let's say 200, that's a good win. If you go over all-time highs to 5,000, perfect. For the micro tracking, it's not much to say. For the micro tracking, December 2025 was your V, your bottom. You did a small higher low. You did the big higher low. So technically everything is finished. Yeah. Next move, do something stupid. Yeah. Little fun play. Okay. Next one is FFAI. So FFAI is sadly the perfect example. If you break levers, go out. For FFAI, there's still a bullish version and there's still a catastrophic bearish version. For the main tracking, I had to change a few things. Thing is, IPO was the C, perfect lower high. This was previous year our T, yeah, but with this movement now, this candle here in May 2024 has to be our M. And what was our previous higher low is becoming now our T. And right now we looking for a bottom since weeks. Before we go into this, bullish main tracking would be wherever we find our V and doing our higher low. Our next target for our A is over T. That means over $3. break it retest if we're doing it one by one. Our next level would be for our B 150 pullback and then going up to our C. Again, that didn't change. If you're not doing a forward split, you won't break over B. Just saying, you won't see a single share for $22,000. No. If we go up here, there will be a forward split. Bearish alternative. We are now at 24 cents. If we're not stopping here and still falling, there are only two ways. First of all, they are doing a reverse split. Yeah, because before they getting delisted, doesn't matter how nice the owners of FFAI are, they will do a reverse split. Problem with this is that wouldn't change the fractal. It would only change the number here, and nobody is telling us that if they do, they won't do a 1 to 20. They will do a 1 to 100, 1 to 1000, just to get out of this range. But that doesn't saying anything that you can't just still drop. In that case, it would even give you the possibility to short it. Right now, it makes no sense to short it. If you're doing a reverse split and sitting at $20, it makes sense to short it again. And one last thing, $24 at 24 cents right now. NASDAQ. If we are 10 days under 10 cents, this thing is delisted. There is no 180 days like under $1. No, 10 days under 10 cents and it's gone. End of story. That's why it's so shitty. Bullish alternative. If, and I really say if this was the V here on March 30, we already did a little higher low and bounced. There are two ways. First, we're doing the big higher low, the macro higher low. In that case, you won't break over 50 cents and you will come down again. After that, you can do the stupid things. For timing, this could be April, May-ish. Yeah. After that, we can look how long the rest of the thing is taking. But first of all, I want to see the higher low. One dreaming hopium tracking is we don't do this. We just add another little higher low. We would just copy the previous one, because the only two ways, times we did this is this here again and this here again. Yeah, and back then you just did one higher low, a second higher low, and then you ran. The same like with the big squeeze, you also did two higher lows and then you just ran. You didn't do a macro, a big one, you just made two higher lows before you ran. So I would say we need at least one more higher low, and then I just say the same thing as I'm always saying. If we are bullish on FFAI, all the moves after the higher lows were instant. So if we are still bullish and in any way to fix this chart, I still don't think we're doing A or B. Yeah, because FFAI isn't doing something like that. So if we are bullish, if we are holding the levels down here, after the two higher lows, we could just do this. Yeah, that's the only thing I can get bullish right now. Again, 4 levels. Yeah. If you touch a break 22.61 cents again, you will go lower and it will get really, really dangerous. For the upside, there are no levels. Yeah. because if you're doing the slow thing, you will reject this trend line. Especially, in my opinion, you won't go over 46 cents. You won't go over your T. If you're just doing this, again, there is a possibility we do something stupid, whatever the news then is. Yeah, sadly. FFAI looked perfect here. Sadly, we broke it. Now it looks like shit. Be careful. Next one is GNS. So GNS is quite similar to FFAI, except one thing. The higher low is still standing. So it's not too bad. And there are no options. Also a big plus point. For FFAI, it started its IPO at its top. It instantly knifed down. Beautiful lower high, beautiful M, beautiful T. For the bullish tracking, April 2025 was our bottom, our V, and since then we're doing our higher low. Before we go into the bullish tracking, the bearish alternative is the same as FFAI, for example, or beyond. We are touching or breaking 20 cents. So the higher low would be that. This would become our T, and we will go lower. Same problem like FFAI. We are only 10 cents away from the listing. So that would be absolutely fucking bad. I will come to that in a second. For the bullish tracking, in my opinion, we already finished this higher low. We will go into micro tracking in a second, but our next moves, if you're doing it rule by rule, would be A would be over 6, B would be over 80, C breaking all-time highs or not. And same as FFAI, there's a big possibility we don't see A or B. Just because if you look at every single run on FFAI, you did a higher low. Right, show that. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, and you just ran upside. So there's a fucking big possibility, if we're tracking it bullish, that after we finish this here, we just go up. The news is already written for both cases. GNS is suing Citadel because of market manipulation. If they win, we go. If we lose, we die. Pretty simple. I mean, news, you know. So, for the higher low, I was waiting for this level since here. And it took fucking long. Why? First of all, this level is under the 786. Perfect. What a higher low should do. Second, here's our A. And higher low is always ending V under A. And if you look here, here's our V. Let's delete that. So here's our A bottom. We slightly wicked under it. And to say that, I bought shares here. Yeah, because I was waiting so fucking long for it and it looked so fucking good. Also, it was just a wick. Yeah? Then, two things. First, we did a normal higher low. We bounced. We holded this higher low. And now we have two ways. First, we are doing another higher low. In that case, we should start from here. And in that case, this higher low could be already finished. Maybe if this is not finished yet, we still have to drop a little bit lower. We would reject this trend line and go down to 31 cents again. And then we go. Or, I mean, I showed that in the German video. In that case, yeah, this would be A from the higher low. Yeah, you would bounce now here. You would go up. This would be your B. Then you're doing another little pullback C, and then you go down here. Yeah. But the problem right now for me is that's so tiny, it wouldn't even matter. That's why I said it's just an idea for me. No financial advice. For the bullish version, we are finishing this here, whatever we are doing. If we are now doing another higher low, or if we still are in the small higher low. We are playing here with price differences between 32 cents to 42 cents. Yeah, that's nothing. Yeah. Thing is, my idea, if you want to play it, buy shares. That amount you like, doesn't matter what, and stay in them. No financial advice, really, absolutely no financial advice. It's just what I do. I bought shares here. I am sitting on them. My stop loss is fixed at 20 cents. Yeah, because if I lose here 10 cents, it doesn't matter for me. If we break here down, and if it touches, I won't touch this stock anymore. Yeah, because then for me, the stock is over. If we touch 20 cents, it's that for me. If we're now doing down, squeeze, up, down, squeeze, or maybe one lower low, higher low, and then squeeze, doesn't matter for me. As long as we're not touching 20 cents, everything is fine, and we should be fucking close. The danger that we already finished, and in that case, I'm missing the run because of we are waiting for 2 cents lower, is stupid, if you can follow me right now. So worst case, we're going to 20, we get confirmation at 20 cents, and it's that. Bad case, we are finishing up down here and do something stupid. And there are no options on the stock. It's only shares. So you can also sell after hours, for example. So yeah, would be my idea. You can do what you want. I only can give you hints of a plan. But GNS still looks fucking bullish. Okay. Next one is microvision. And for microvision, one little warning. Doesn't matter if bullish or bearish. Even for the absolute bullish version, I'm just warning you, there are options on this stock. But this stock moves extremely slow. For the bullish version, it's, in my opinion, a good long-term investment for shares, not options. But whatever I'm showing, doesn't matter how quick or how good it looks. The last squeeze we had for March 2020 took 406 days. Just saying. This stock is old, and it will take time. Yeah. For the tracking, it started its run, its IPO to its B, which is nice because we can see how B is behaving. Pullback C. Then we did a nice low high, a nice midpoint, a nice T, a nice all-time low for the bullish tracking. Then we broke out of the trend, but we didn't broke M. So this here is just our A. It did a pretty deep pullback, but is a breakout retest, and we didn't touch the 786. Now we still have to do a little higher low, and then we should go up to our B. Our B should be at 45. Then we will do this time. In this case, we will go up here. We will do a B pullback because we already did this. Yeah, I don't think this is the possibility to just go up. B will do a 0.5 pullback. And then we go up to our C. Before we go into micro tracking, that would be the bullish version. The bearish version is if you touch or break 46 cents, this can't be A anymore. In that case, this becomes T. And in that case, it has to drop under lower high, but the all-time low. In that case, the problem is the all-time low is already at 15 cents. So if we do that, microvision is dead. Or reverse split. Which I really don't think, because they are doing contracts with the military and have so many things in the work. So I really tend into the bullish version. So for the micro tracking, okay, we have to go higher in the time frame. You did your T off your A. You made a low. Also for this low, 1 wick down. You already did a little micro higher low. You already broke off out of your trend line. You did your little A, which was a perfect 618 pullback. So in the best case, you should now go up. Still, this go up won't break over this trend line. That means you won't go over $1.42. This would be your little higher low just from your big A. After you finish that, if we go up here at 140, 130, we already have our pullback target, and that means your V&A. That means under 56 cents again. Yeah, because here is your V&A. After you finish that, you can go up. And again, careful, this could take time. It maybe is a good investment for long term, but it will take time. Okay, next one is RIOT. And I said it already for NIO. RIOT is the second stock, which is perfectly tracking. And in my opinion, RIOT is the second stock where you don't even need my tracking for it. You only could do it side by side. And I will show that in a second. For my tracking, RIOT started its IPO in its B with the pullback, then went all-time highs to its C, lower high, midpoint, T. Went down to its V, broke out of the trend, went over T, so this is our A. Then we did a perfect 618 pullback and we bounced. Our next target is B. And B has to be over M. That means it has to go over $226 from $12 on. Before we go into the side by side, I'm just saying because I'm hearing that every time when I show RIOT. My tracking is bullshit. RIOT is a Bitcoin farmer, so it will move the same like Bitcoin. The only answer for this I have to tell you is put RIOT on the left side, put Bitcoin on the right side, and then compare each other. Yeah, I already did that once. You will see there are sometimes move when Bitcoin goes up, RIOT goes up, and Bitcoin goes down, RIOT goes down. But you will see 90% of the time, RIOT don't give a fucking shit about Bitcoin. Only because it's a Bitcoin miner, it's not absolutely behaving like Bitcoin. Otherwise, you would see here a Bitcoin chart. You don't see it. So it has its own fractal. So now for the side by side. So for the explanation, left side, weekly chart, because I don't get it otherwise on the full chart to see everything. The whole fractal from IPO till today. Right side, 24-hour chart. And this whole thing is just this section. Why? Because in my opinion, you see here the whole fractal. That everything which happened here repeated here. Yeah? And I will show that in a second. So our C is this C here. Yeah. So this here is this here, just for explanation. Then we fell down massively. We fell down massively. We came up again. Lower high, lower high. Then we fell another time. We fell another time from our L. From our L. You see also here, this section here, you have the same move down. You have the same move down. Of course, you have here a lot of more price action because here the repetition is already bigger and longer, and especially it's the weekly chart, and we are here on the 24-hour chart. The important part here is you came up again, you make two peaks. You come up again, you make two peaks. This is our M, same as this is our M. Then you fall down again. You fall down again. You have here one higher low than your V. The same like you have here one higher low than your V. You came up again, pretty steep. You pay up again. Okay, here it was only 2 candles. To your T. To your T. After your T, you fell down again. You make your V, your all-time low, you make your V. The only difference here is you don't have this sideways action here. Yeah? You just went up. The important part here is that the next peak was over a breakout over your trend line, breakout over your trend line, and over your T. So this is your A. And then it really gets interesting, because if we really zoom in here, what happens after your A? You pull back, you're going in this sideways action, which is an uptrending channel still. The same we're doing now. We're going lower, we're going sideways since years. Just to say that. We are in this sideways channel since 2022. But we are in an uptrending channel. What happens when this uptrending channel is finished? Especially, you see here, one little peak down. Yeah? And I really think we are doing right now this one little peak down. Or we already finished in this case. After that, you're getting a massive run to the upside. And you're doing your B. And this B is over your M. So if I'm right, and I think I am, but who knows, your next B has to go over your M. And that means RIOT has to go over to 228. And if you look here, it goes slightly over it. So yeah, 350-ish. No financial advice. So because it is slowly, we are way slower. And if you really want to play this card, that RIOT is doing the same shit like Bitcoin. Okay. There is well-known main tracking that Bitcoin will now knife till October to 42 or 46 or 40K $1,000 or whatever. That would be this pullback here. If RIOT is really following Bitcoin, then would be this little knife here. And in October-ish. And then Bitcoin would start running again. So RIOT would start running again. Or RIOT just says, fuck you, Bitcoin. I don't care. I have my own fractal. I already finished my little pullback. I start now. You could do that fundamentally, that people are now not buying Bitcoin. they are buying Bitcoin farmers, and because they know when Bitcoin goes up, this Bitcoin miners, not farmers, sorry, this Bitcoin miners will be worth way more. So they are front running the run on Bitcoin. Just an idea. Yeah. But this tracking looks nearly exactly the same perfect like NIO. Try it yourself. Put it side by side and try it yourself. It looks fucking perfect. So let's see. Okay, next one is Bad Buff and Beyond. So for Bad Buff and Beyond, bullish checking, bearish checking. For Bad Buff and Beyond, we are only looking at 2020 till today. We had our beautiful V, a pretty steep ABC without pullbacks, then lower high, midpoint. Now we start with the bearish checking first. For the bearish checking means that this here wasn't our bottom, and this peak in September 2025 was our T and not our higher low. In that case, you will drop down here. You will make new all-time low, and then you still would have to do your macro higher low, and then you could go up. If we're doing this, it will be nothing nice 2026. This will take time. For bullish tracking, it was like that. Yeah. For your bullish tracking, same thing except one thing. Means this was your T and this was already your V. And same like DJT, same like Beyond, same like GNS, we are doing now higher low. In that case, it's absolutely important that we're not touching, breaking $3.56. If we're touching $3.56, there is no way to be bullish this year on Bad Buff and Beyond, in my opinion. So we have to bounce somewhere in here. It looks good that we start bouncing here. We maybe have to do a little high low. I will go into that in a second with the micro tracking. After that, you have to do your A. Your A have to be here. Have to be over $15. You will do maybe a breakout retest. Your B has to be over $36, 0.5 pullback. And then the only question is, are you doing all-time highs or not? Also here, the same thing like GNS. If we repeating 2020, you won't see the pullbacks in A and B. Yeah, you will just go up. For the micro tracking, let's look. Whenever this higher low here is finished, I still think you need to do a micro higher low. Yeah, for this, and then you go up. You maybe, really maybe already done this with this here. Yeah. So as long as you're not touching $4.32, you could go up. 4 levels to the upside, while downside we already have. For the upside, everything over $6 is bullish. Everything over $7.70 is very bullish, and in my opinion, everything over $9.66. And the alternative for the bearish tracking, there's no bearish tracking anymore. Yeah, then you go up. Yeah. What the news would be, I don't know. I mean, I think they already merged now with this other company. Nothing happened. So yeah, I was more bullish in a few weeks ago. It's just doing nothing right now. So I want to see an answer. I want to see a direction building. Right now we're just doing up down, and slightly grinding down. It gets boring. So yeah. Okay, next one is Unity. And Unity is also absolutely nice tracking. Not too perfect, but still absolutely version. One absolutely clear bullish, one absolutely clear bearish version. We start with the bullish one. For Beyond, we already saw how B looked like. Then we made our C, our lower high, our midpoint, our D. We went down to our all-time low and August 2024. And since then, we are doing higher low. In that case, we already finished higher low for the bullish tracking. We dipped a little bit under it. Then we did a small micro higher low. So in that case, that would be finished. Yeah. From here on, your next level is A, which has to be over 60. Then breakout retest. Next point would be M or B over M, means over 109. This time also here, I'm 99% convinced we are doing a B pullback because we already saw it. So in that case, we should also do an A and a pullback, just saying. And then the only question is, are you breaking all-time highs or not? For confirmation levels for the bullish version, everything over 30, and the alternative is that, the bearish one. Now to the bearish alternative, because I see so many people fighting over it, that we still have to go to $14. My answer to this is, yeah, there's a possibility that we do that. My only argument against this is, if we break down from here, I think $14 isn't your stop target. In that case, this would be your T. And in that case, if you break downside from here, you will break your all-time low. Wherever we're going down here, we have no resistance, support, nothing down here. So we have to find our V, wherever it is. The shitty part about this is time. Not only price, it's time, because after that, we have to do the higher low. In that case, we won't go over 27, 30-ish, doing a higher low. And after that, you would start with your A would be here. You would start with our A, breakout retest, B, because B would be the same, 0.5 pullback, and then C. This would add a lot of time. It would still be bullish, yeah, and you even could say that's a perfect, how could a cap and handle, yeah, for example, yeah, but still this would take time. And in my opinion, if you break down from here, which I can't say it's not impossible, you will make new lows, whatever the news is, yeah. So clear bullish, clear bearish tracking. I would say I'm tending more to the bullish version, but I want to see that we go over 30 to be absolutely sure. Okay, next one is FCEL. So for FCEL, I really have to say I start hating this stock. It has perfect tracking, but it isn't doing anything. Yeah. For FCEL, we already know how our B is looking like. Then we have our C, our lower high, our midpoint, our T, and in the best case, already our all-time low. For the bearish case, we break down and we will just die. Yeah, you're not allowed to break or touch $3.69 for that. For the bullish versions, we have two. First of all, you see the same problem as in some stocks. We have our main trend line, but our T is too short. So we found our V for both bullish tracking. We have to do now higher low, but there are two of them. The normal higher low would be the higher low of this trend line. In that case, it would look something like that. We won't break T and we will reject this trend line. That means, and that's the stupid part, we will go to 690. Then pull back and then break out. After that, we would just do A and B. Here also again, like FFAI, without a forward split, no. Yeah, without a forward split, we will reject here and die. Well, who cares? Second part, the T is too short. That's why the second rule comes into place. We are combining M and T. In that case, our higher low will reject this trend line. That means our higher low will go to 60 and then pull back, then going up. For the micro tracking, just to see this, if we're just doing the micro higher low, you see what we are doing right now. Yeah, we have found our V. We did our micro higher low. Perfect. We broke out of this trend line. And in the best case, we already did our A. I know it's under T, but still. And right now, we did a perfect 618 pullback. So this little A pullback is finished. But still, we are still staying in this shitty triangle. Yeah, I saw that only once in my trading lifetime, and that was Rivian. And I tell you, Rivian did this, I think, over 5 years. Yeah, it was just a bigger triangle. And I will never ever touch Rivian again. Yeah, it doesn't matter how good it looks, and there is tracking for it, but I hate this stock because of this bullshit. In the worst case, that has now nothing to do with tracking, because really, this A pullback is finished. Yeah. In the worst case, we will do exactly this. Yeah. That means till September 26. September 14, 2026 this year. We will do this shit before we break out. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Everything over $12 is bullish. My main tracking is still we need to do the higher low, but this bullshit, no. This is just stupid. Yeah, I'm looking at this shit every day and could punch myself. So thing is still, yeah, absolutely bullish tracking. We're doing the big higher low, which brings us really to $600-ish, or we're doing the small one, yeah, which brings us to 60. If we're doing that, we already know our pullback target, because our V under A would be here at 575. So we would go up, B, C, that would be the peak of our lower high, higher low, sorry. We go back to V under A, and then we're doing the stupid shit. Yeah. Again, if you touch or break $3.58, get out. Because in my opinion, then it gets really nasty. Because we have to do a new low, a new bottom, and start then with the higher low. And this, with that speed, you are dying before this stock is doing anything. Just saying. Okay. And a last one is C3.AI. And C3.AI has beautiful tracking. Yeah. And the funny thing is, we have an absolutely clear bearish version, an absolutely clear bullish version, and both versions will go up into 2027, in my opinion. We start with the bearish version. With the bearish version, our wonderful C, wonderful lower high, this whole thing is our midpoint. And this will be our T for the bearish version. That means we still will go up into the micro checking. We'll go in a second. We will still go up to our T. We will reject this trend line, maybe a little bit lower even, you know that. So $28 max. After that, we will knife down, make a new low. And then we still have to do the higher low. And then our run up A would be 28, breakout retest B, and so on and so on. This would be the bullish version. Yeah, because your M is here. This whole thing is your T. Your V would be here. You now also going up to $28. You also will reject here. The only difference here is you're now doing a higher low. And then you go to your I, B, and so on and so on. So that's one of the rarest cases where bearish and bullish for a full half year, in my opinion, earliest 2027, both versions are showing upside. And for the micro tracking, if this was our V, perfect. We did a micro higher low. So in my opinion, we should go up from here. Confirmation levels. Everything over 10.53 is bullish. Everything over 12, 0.9 is very bullish, and confirmation that I'm right with what I'm saying is $14, $15. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. You could wait till we reach here. You could just play a few shares. No financial advice for both of them, and can short this then. And so this looks great. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Well, that was, I think, the longest video I had made since then. And remember one thing. I did this in German too. And I was only talking. Yeah. You can easily add, I think, 45 minutes for cutting and presentation still. Oh my God. Okay. So, as always, explanation video for the fractal method here, playlist here. If you liked it, you can leave a like. If you want to see more, and I tell you, it's not normal to do such a big video for me, you can leave an abo. Otherwise, I wish you a nice weekend or a nice week. Let's see what the market is giving us next week. See ya.